Enthusiasm is the electricity of life. How do you get it? You act enthusiastic until you make it a habit. Gordon Parks. My friends, I come to you every day and it's not an act. I am enthusiastic about these markets. I love stock charting, stock trading, buying options, selling options, buying stock, selling stock, ETFs, cryptocurrencies now, commodities. I love it all. It is so much fun and exciting. And it is fun to watch those dollars rack up, whether it's in your practice trading account or once you get good and you start making up your own mind what you're going to do with your own money, real money. But you got to practice first. Then you fractionally trade. And then and only then, after you've taken everything you've learned and you've learned how to do it, do you start using real money. Why? Because it will quickly disappear. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gambling. Now, yes, stocks will either go up or they'll go down, but we use the historic price patterns and everything we learn from practice trading to help us make the best decisions to give us that advantage in the marketplace. And the little way you learn is 10 to 15 minutes each and every day. Patreon members, we have sent off to you, well, I've recorded, it's uploading right now. I'll send off to you in just a minute the charting crypto for the week. The rest of you will get it at the end of the week. But we have a great charting crypto training. And of course, on Thursday night, I'll be sending out to all the Patreon members a 20 weekly vertical crossovers. We always look for 10 going up and 10 down. Sometimes it's more or less one way or the other, but we almost always get you 20 of them for you to sort and practice trade 1 or 2 on Friday to see how everything works. Now, let's jump into these charts. I'm looking at all green for the day. This is a crazy world we live in, don't we? One day everything's red, the next day everything's green. Although yesterday when everything was red, gold was green, and gold is green again today. And my practice, well, it wasn't a practice trade, it was a real money trade I did in silver. It closed out for me over, I think it was yesterday, extended hours at the end of the day. So that was beautiful. And gold, something real, those precious metals. If those of you who listened to that Jim Rogers interview that we shared with you, great interview that he did, he said when all of the burning down is finished, I use the word burning down, Jim said that everybody is going to have silver in the closet and gold under the bed. Well, gold is golden now. But let's start with the S&P up 1.15%. Still got a red down candle for the week. And we pretty much have a laminated price percent oscillator, derivative oscillators positive, still gaining some upward momentum. But we're not seeing any momentum there with the price percent oscillator and a red down candle, even with an up day. What do we see on the 2-day? We just see red down candles. Price percent oscillator, though, has not crossed over going down. Derivative oscillators almost disappeared. We'll wait, watch, and see. Now, when you look at the half-day chart, you can see how things peaked, down, up, down, and maybe trying to move back up a bit. Price percent oscillator still negative on the half-day, and we see that the derivative oscillator is still negative. So again, we'll watch and see how we finish off this week. As we move to the NASDAQ 100, very similar looking. It never did cross over. It's just below the red trend line. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, we could have a bounce off if the market crashes and rolls over hard, give you an opportunity to short things. That is on the weekly chart, but we look at what's going on the candle. Of course, big red down candle. Now we look at the 2-day. You might have, again, about the time that the price percent oscillator on the weekly could be pulling away from the red signal line, you might have a 2-day crossover going down, which would be, if that's occurring, a 2-day recross, and we shall wait and see how that wraps up. Now, we finished this latest candle, correct, because we ended the Monday candle, the Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have a Thursday and a Friday, so you might have a 2-day recross with that bounce off on the weekly might give you an opportunity for some shorting action in a practice trade at the end of the week. What do we see on the half day? Well, we see where things were listless in the morning, popping up in the afternoon. Price percent oscillator still negative. Heading up, derivative oscillator negative, losing downward momentum. Push through that half-day trend line in the afternoon. That's where we are on stocks. Again, NASDAQ up 2% for the day, just a little over, and the S&P up 1.15%. Now, what's going on with bonds? They also were up a little bit, but doesn't negate that big red down candle for the week. The price percent oscillator spiking over, going down. Derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. That's the weekly on the 2-day. Not reaching a lower low over the last 2 days, but that price percent oscillator still heading down. Derivative oscillator still heading down. That 2-day recross still in effect and profitable. What about the half day? We can see where things hammered down and then started blowing through the trend line, what had been a really nice trend line on Tuesday afternoon, and then sliding sideways on Wednesday. Like we said, for the day, up a little bit, 0.20%. Price percent oscillator still negative, going sideways. Derivative oscillator negative, losing downward momentum. Let's see the gold in gold. 0.48% up for the day. Nice green up candle. Got a long way to go to hit that past high on the week ending the 11th of March. Price percent oscillator heading up. Derivative oscillator still positive but losing momentum. We look at the 2-day, and of course we've seen 4 days of nice movement. Don't have that recross yet, but it's getting closer and closer, isn't it? Keep your eye on it. May have that at the end of the week. That would be helpful, would it not? May portend getting back up to that high. May. What do we see on the half day? Again, things just moving up nicely. We'll redraw that trend line at a steeper angle for you, connecting 3 candles there. Price percent oscillator heading up, derivative oscillator gaining just a little bit of upward momentum on the half day. Things are looking golden on gold. Now, what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin up, depending on where you are, somewhere around the 4.5 to 6.5%. Depending on where you look as far as the futures go and grayscale Bitcoin. But what do we see overall for the week? Well, we see a red down candle. We see that price percent oscillator after the weekly vertical crossover. Again, we talked about when that occurred, the potential problems with that and some inherent weaknesses there, particularly on that 2-day chart. Slowed down the next week, and then, of course, a red down candle so far this week. Price percent oscillator still positive, but heading down. Derivative oscillator positive, losing some upward momentum. But look at what we had happen at the close on Wednesday with this 2-day candle. We had it cross over going down. Now, what does that do? Well, that tells us that we don't want to be in a trade on Bitcoin at this point until and unless we get a recross going up. Why? Well, that shows us some significant weakness. We will notate it with a down candle there. We will also redraw our trend line so we can see that we have that in effect and just what is going on there. Danger is what that's telling you. Now, the derivative oscillator's gone red also on the 2-day. What do we see on the half day? Well, I tell you what, let's go to XBTF. And this gives us real readings during the day. You can see where it's some indecision, but up some in the morning and then up higher in the afternoon. Again, depending on where you look, XBTF 4.57%, BTF 4.8%, BITO, and these are the 3 approved ETFs futures for Bitcoin. And then, of course, we look at Grayscale, which is a trust. They own Bitcoin. They were up 6.61% for the day. New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index only reports once during the day, and it just shows a 1.77% increase. That'll, of course, adjust out when they get the figures in tomorrow. That's what keeps our charts accurate for us. But I prefer for the intraday action to actually use one of the futures so you can see a little more realistic of the price movement there. So that is where we are when it comes to Bitcoin. I am not in any kind of either real or practice trade in Bitcoin right now because of these inherent weaknesses that we see. If you want to learn how to do any of this type of trading, you got to practice it. And it doesn't cost you a thing to do that. When you think you're getting good, then you can go in and buy a fractional share. I mean, who's going to jump in trying to learn how to do anything when Bitcoin's selling at $40,000+ a share? Well, nobody with any sense. But if you look at things like XBTF, heck, $39, $40 a share, you might buy a share of that or a couple and do a little bit of fractional trading, willing to, to lose a few dollars, but not thousands. Again, practice trading is what it's all about. Fractional trading after that, and you can really measure what it is you're doing. And the nice thing is, too, when you do the fractional trading, you're able to actually enter real trades, small dollar trades, but you learn what it's all about, putting those good till canceled sell orders in, limit offers, all the things that you learn by doing, because that is what we are all about. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters. Thank you, Patreon supporters.